Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back talking indoor and arena football. I know. Last week I was not feeling, talking only four games and everything like that. Just not feeling it. There was only four games. There was some major signings, but they kind of happened after I said I wasn't going to do anything. So, you know, I was like, you know what? Let's take the week off. Let's talk some lacrosse instead. And that's exactly what I did. And, it was not going to be going only 5 minutes for like indoor and arena football because, the last reel this week in indoor football was only like 9 minutes. I was like, nah, that's not me at all. So, Wells Fargo Arena, first things first, it's called Casey Center now. I know, crazy stuff. In the last couple weeks, I was getting there. They're still terrible though. Probably the worst team in the league. Probably one of the worst seasons I think in a long time in arena indoor football. A couple of big signings, happened. Ozarks. They were 2-3 when they did not have Tyler Kolka. They are 2-0 now with Kolka in the lineup. Tulsa, because there's no TJ Edwards anymore, said, all right, let's go get Carl Robinson, an AL champion from Beaumont. Speaking of Beaumont is not getting into the IFL. Let's just keep that 180% right now. Like, there was a report that said, hey, Beaumont's not getting in, then it had to be retracted. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Beaumont isn't going to get into the IFL. Let's just keep that 180%. Yeah. But then, Tulsa was like, okay, we can one up this Carl Robinson signing. We can get another champion. Let's go get Sam Castronova. And, now Tulsa beating Massachusetts, getting themselves in position to be in position at 8-6. Mass, of course, beating Iowa, the week beforehand on 4th of July weekend, was pretty interesting enough. And, now Tulsa's in position to be in position. We have a couple of playoff spots in the IFL clinched. So let me go find those standings really, really quickly. You know what I'm saying? Let me go find those IFL standings. So let's kind of take a look at those IFL standings now that I got them up open. Of course, Green Bay beat Quad City this past weekend, and still have not clinched yet. Again, Jacksonville surprisingly lost to San Antonio. I wish San Antonio would have played better against Tucson, when I was supposed to go down to San Antonio. Shout out to all those that have been affected by the flooding down there. It was a crazy 4th of July weekend when it came to flooding and torrential rainfall. So many people, were affected. Several lost lives. I mean, it was just unfortunate. The decision was made not to go, the day of because of, that factor. So, and, Tucson beat the brakes off of San Antonio that 4th of July weekend anyway. So, but yeah, you see that Quad City is the only one that's clinched from the East. Green Bay, Jacksonville, and Tulsa are all right there. Green Bay and Jacksonville, they get their acts together this week and clinch. That's good. Tulsa and Massachusetts are, those other two teams fighting for the other. So we got 3 spots, 4 teams, and Massachusetts is sitting at the back end of it all. They have to rebound. Tulsa now, if Sam Castronova continues to do what he does best, which is play good football, Tulsa could be doing some things. And it's funny if Castronova, decides, what, I'm going to get me another championship this year. So remember, last year, this man should have been MVP last year. But, it is what it is, or 2 years ago, actually, either or, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, he should have been MVP. Speaking of the West is a little bit easier to decipher. Bay Area and man, what a crazy. I don't even know how to say it. Like crazy. Strike Force Panthers game. This past weekend. Like there was a crazy. Like my God, I don't even know where to begin with some of the stuff from the IFL, because I mean, man, it was just a good game, or rather, not the Strike Force in Bay Area, but it was that Vegas Bay Area game, which was just, oof, my goodness, they got the Hail Mary, couldn't get the 2-point conversion at the end, and lost to Bay Area, like, it's crazy. So, Bay Area is 11-3, Arizona's 9-5, San Diego. Why did I say San Antonio? San Diego 9-5. All three of those teams have clinched playoff spots in the IFL West. Vegas is, 8-6, could clinch this week. Tucson is still right there. 6-8. Not promising, but the opportunity is still there. And just 2 weeks of football left. 2 weeks of football left in the IFL. San Antonio, Northern Arizona, Fishers, and lowly, dreadful Iowa are the teams that are out. So, those are the teams that are out. In the AAL2, I did not expect Mississippi to go up into Georgia and beat them. Thus, Mississippi will take on Jersey, who beat the brakes off of the Michigan. Like the Michigan Avengers, like, come on, that was kind of expected. The team that basically owns the league, is gonna do things that teams that basically own the leagues do. And to a championship is set for this up. Well, actually, no, it's 2 Saturdays from now. So this Saturday, nothing. Next Saturday will be the AAL2 championship between the Jersey Bearcats and the Mississippi Wolfpack in Jersey. It's gonna be intriguing to see, to say the least. I don't think I expected Mississippi to get there. I thought it'd be Georgia, Jersey in the championship, but Mississippi pulled off the upset win in the semifinal, which was great. In the TAL, we're moving closer and closer towards the playoffs. Ozarks, again, Tyler Coca Mania ran wild all over Duluth on the 4th of July weekend. And then, this past week, another beautiful performance against Iowa. The other 2 games, unfortunately, were blowouts. St. Joe's beating Hot Springs by a lot. And then Duluth, taking care of Eau Claire. Eau Claire is 1-5. Duluth and Iowa, or rather Duluth and Ozarks, basically are in position to be in position. Duluth 5-2, Ozarks 4-3, and then 3 teams are 3-3, and that includes Hot Springs, the expansion group, Iowa, of course, and St. Joe's. And good Colcomania lead Ozarks to the promised land and win an Arena Mania title. Like this could be generational craziness. The AF1 guys said, "Hey, we're gonna come in. Our season's done. We got some stuff to do. We ain't got nothing going on. So let's go into the other leagues and start to ball out for them." And could we see some Colcomania in the Arena Mania Championship? Could we see that? I hope so. I really, really hope so. That hodgepodge of those 3 other teams, is going to be intriguing to say the least. Like, can Hot Springs pull it out and, get themselves in position to where, they can, make the playoffs in their first year as an expansion team? Is Iowa even going to be able to go back to the championships? Remember last year, they only had 2 wins at the end of the season last year. We were able to go to the championship, and got blown out promptly by Duluth, but, it is what it is. I don't know. We'll find out because there's 2 weeks left in the TAL season as well. So it all comes to a head these last couple weeks, and then playoff football in August, for the IFL and the Arena League. And I cannot wait for all that. There's so much hodgepodge. And again, 4 spots in the IFL playoffs have been clinched. We need 4 more teams. We need 4 more. And there's 6. I can't count. There's 6 teams fighting for 4 spots in the IFL. And basically in the TAL, it's I don't know right now. I don't think anybody's clinched. I don't think anybody is not clinched, but there's a 5-team race for 4 spots. Probably it's going to be 4 spots like it was last year. Probably more than likely. There's been some interesting interviews and stuff like that over the past couple weeks, and some interesting videos from some other content creators in the arena football scene. Hope you all have been watching those. I will continue to plug as much as I can for others, when I feel like plugging people and not being a lazy bum sitting down doing nothing. But it is what it is, everybody. Can't wait for another great set of games this weekend. We got Friday night, Saturday. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a beautiful weekend. And I'll catch you. After the WNBA All-Star break is basically over. So I'll catch you on probably next Monday. And then, this week on the football on Tuesday, and then we'll keep going from there. So I'm out. I'm gonna see y'all next time, and we'll get some other stuff rolling here. I know I haven't posted any shorts in like a week, but we'll get some stuff rolling, at some point. So hope you all have a good rest of your night and a good rest of your Tuesday as well.